just some final words from our perspective. It's not a super bold statement to claim that the future is data-driven, and that of course applies for the insurance industry as well. I think the big opportunity for insurance is that it's possible to, it's a bit mind shift in terms of the business model. Insurance historically has been a fairly reactive business. We have some smart calculation in terms of risk and pricing, and we sign policies. But then there's been sort of a waiting phase in the process, and then we've been fantastic in terms of settlements and claims and outpayments. But I think with having a more data-driven organization and business, it's possible to flip the coin a bit, to have a more proactive approach towards your business. And of course, this all comes down to the way you handle and manage data. There is a huge opportunity in being able to use big sets of data to be able to better predict the future. And with this knowledge, it's possible to come up with preventive actions. To address, come up with personalized offerings in terms of products and services and distribute those to your customers. So, especially when it comes to life and pension, where we have very low frequent interaction with our customers, this is a fantastic opportunity of getting into the daily lives of our customers in a totally different way that we've done historically. And I think the Wellmo case here is a very good example of how you can really meet your customer on a daily basis. That opens up for fantastic opportunities. Of course, this needs to be balanced in terms of privacy and integrity, because we're dealing with highly personalized and sensitive information here. So data is key. And what's more to that, I would say that being able to operate a life and pension company is really complex material. It's not just about running the company internally, but you have to connect and integrate a really complex ecosystem as well. Payment services, fund trading capabilities, tax authority and stuff like that. There is a really complex ecosystem that you need to connect to be able to operate. And then of course you need to be able to interact with your customers in a good and smart way. So you need to act both in terms of digitalization and a high level of automation and collaborating with other stakeholders within the life and pension sort of industry space. But that's sort of current position and the current situation. I think what's going to be new in the coming years is that since data is key, it's going to be super important to be able to tap into other sort of data sources and other sort of data that could be applicable and relevant for you to tailor personalized offering for your customers. And that kind of data and information doesn't typically then reside within your existing ecosystem, but you will have to tap into the ecosystem, nearby ecosystem. And here are just a few examples. Lifestyle, of course, applicable to Jakob's presentation. Health, another one. Genetics might sound a bit sort of sci-fi, but it's already possible today to spit in the tube, send it in, and just a few weeks or days later get a fairly detailed result back of whether you have risk of catching some bad diseases and stuff like that. And today that gives the customer an advantage over the insurance company, because you can get the signal that you have a high probability of catching a disease, and then you can go in and sign a life insurance the day after. So this is definitely sort of interesting data and information that will be applicable and relevant for a life and pension company. Of course, banking and wealth is a very nearby ecosystem, and many of you operating in bank insurance are really living in sort of a tight connected ecosystem already today within that space. And digital footprint, just being able to capture data from the way we navigate on the web and how we interact in social media. Super important information that could also be fed into sort of a broader holistic set and be crunched to be able to tailor more personalized offerings and do better sort of individual risk assessment. And of course, to be able to tap into that opportunity, you need to use the modern technology of big data, cloud technologies, and AI and machine learning. And this whole concept of being able to be willing to share information and data, I think if we look back a few years, we had the Facebook catastrophe with Cambridge Analytica. We have a number of data breaches. So you would assume that there is a sort of reluctance from the customers to be willing to share this kind of fairly sensitive data. I had the opportunity of visiting the Gartner Symposium conference here early this week in Barcelona. And one of the clear sort of forecast-looking statements from Gartner is that by 2023, you can read by yourself, individual activities will be tracked digitally by an internet of behavior to influence benefit and service eligibility 40% of the people worldwide. So that sends sort of a totally different signal that we're actually getting used to sharing information. If it's a party that we feel is trustworthy, we are definitely willing to share massive amounts of personal data. But we then expect that this is handled in a trustworthy way and that we get some business value out of it, some customer value out of it, whether it be sort of discounts on premiums or add-on sort of services or products. So this is happening. So the question to you guys within sort of the insurance space here, if you want to take position in this, because someone will definitely take the opportunity of utilizing this opportunity in the market. Typically, when we look at ourselves in an industry, it's easy to put yourself as a centerpiece in the middle, as always. But I think going forward, I think it's essential to have an understanding and respect that data is critical in this, and to be able to tap into various kinds of data. Customer trust is going to be key in this, because it's not the insurance company that owns the customer data. It's going to be the customer essentially that decides which parties they feel are trustworthy and they're willing to share their information with. This is already happening today. There are a few legislations around it, of course. Everyone's probably familiar with GDPR, with sort of signaling that the customer owns his own data, should be able to share it with whichever sort of stakeholder that they're interested to share the data with. PSD2 is sort of hit the banking industry, opening up for a paradigm shift of open banking. Again, saying that the customer data in the banking system is no longer the sole asset of the banks, but it's really the asset of the customers. So again, customer decides which parties they are interested in sharing this information with. So could we expect the same thing to happen? I have a OID here, question mark. Is there going to be sort of initiative in terms of open insurance? Most probably. Either it's going to be driven by regulation or it's going to be driven by the industry and products as such. And I know there are a lot of long-gone discussions within the Swedish sort of insurance market in terms of establishing some kind of information hub, utilizing technologies for Min Pension and Fullmaktskollen as some kind of strategic central hub to be able to share information in a more efficient and smoother way as possible today. So it's definitely going to happen. So you guys also need to position yourself in terms of understanding that the data you sit on is going to be up for grabs. So you have to build sort of a trustworthy relationship with your customers to be able to claim the position of you being the party that has access and are have the possibility to create value-add services around this data. Just going back then to Mikael's, the whole Insurtech ecosystem that has started evolving in the Nordics. Want to say with this that we see that a lot of innovation is going to happen outside of the incumbents, of the traditional insurance companies. And as we see in this first phase, we see that there is a clear gravitation in terms of distribution and also risk detection and prevention. Distribution typically being the most common, the simplest use case, the most logical use case, because that's where you can create, of course, business value, and it's also sort of the simplest part of the value chain to address. It's fairly simplistic to add on a new digital sales channel. But we will probably see that it will evolve other capabilities within the other sectors as well. And just want to add on to what you said, Mikael, that I think a few years back there was a big concern within the traditional industry of disruptive innovators and disruptive Insurtech. I think today, it's yes, it might happen within the coming years, but I think that the current state is more It's more that we see that the Insurtechs are complementary partners to the traditional insurance company. So they can help the traditional insurance companies to add value within specific functions or processes or product lines. So I think it's a good set for partnership and collaboration rather than fearing disruption. And Itello having the fortunate position within the Nordic life and pension industry of serving a number of the bigger insurance company. Of course, we have a commitment of I think from two angles. The first one is, of course, to make sure that our customer community have the opportunity of tapping into the innovation that is happening within this ecosystem. So that's, of course, the most important stuff, to make sure that you, our customers, can have sort of a forward-looking strategic ambition to include capabilities from this ecosystem. And that we can help provide by our connectivity framework with open APIs that make it easier for you guys to connect and integrate to those parties. The other side of this is, of course, that it's interesting for the Insurtechs to address Itello as well, since we have, again, the fortunate position of serving many number of customers within the Nordics. It's a good way for them to come in, establish, utilizing a standardized integration, and then suddenly be able to reach a big portion of the Nordic insurance market. So I think we have a good opportunity and responsibility to help drive and foster innovation in the coming years. And that's definitely our ambition to help in that. Yeah, just a few words. I think to be able to achieve this, it's of course impossible. It's very important. You said a few words about that in your report as well, Mikael. That is one of the key aspects in this is to make sure that you have a solid foundation for being able to tap into this opportunity, to have an agile and flexible core system that allows you to be agile in the changing environment. Because if we just go back and look at the Insurtech ecosystem today, we can see that not all the players here have a proven business model that can allow them, that we can be sure that they will be here in 2 or 3 years. I would say a lot of those companies will vanish, and a number of new entrants will definitely come in. It's an early phase, and it's a bit and mature phase, so we don't know which one of those that have sort of a solid business model that will survive over time. So what's important for our customers is, of course, to have the flexibility to tap into new opportunities as they arise. So the business flexibility, agility, and having sort of the openness and transparency of sharing business processes, data in a controlled and good way is key in this. So that was just some takeaway words. We at Itello have the ambition to help you on this exciting journey. It's good for you guys that are Itello customers that you have a good and solid framework that will allow you to be agile, to tap into those opportunities. That was the final words. And I'm happy to have Mikael and Jaakko on the scene as well. And I hope you have some